Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us at the official launch of the 13th edition of the Spain Investors Day. We want to especially welcome Spain's third Vice President and Minister for the Ecological Transition and Demographic Challenge, TERESA Rivera. Thank you very much for attending one more year this event. I now give the floor to the CEO of Endesa, Mr. José Bogas.
Good morning, Madam Vice President and Minister of Ecological Transition and the Demographic Challenge, members of the Governing Council of Spain Investor Day, and dear all. I would like to thank you for attending this event that Endesa is supporting for the third consecutive year. This collaboration began in the middle of the pandemic at a very important moment for Spain, I would say. Everything that has happened since January 2021 until now is well known to everyone. What is important in that private companies, in private companies in general, government and public institutions, is the continue of the collaboration looking for better solutions in the future. This combination of public and private entities is important because the future will be built on collaboration, boldness, commitment, and innovation. Spain Investor Day is an example of this collaboration. Companies, investors, and the government are meeting once again to highlight what makes Spain an attractive country to invest in. In this context, the electricity sector is a key investor. Not surprisingly, the electricity sector is experiencing the most important industrial reconversion in its history. And as has happened in other processes involving industrial reconversion, it is the responsibility of the state to lay the foundation, promote scenarios for change and make the processes simple so that things can happen. An example of this is Endesa. In November, the last November, we announced that we would invest 8.6 billion euros by 2025 to grow in renewables and in the electricity customers. That is 15% more than in our previous plan, a clear commitment to and confidence in the Spanish market. This makes us one of the main industrial investors in Spain and also demonstrate Endesa's commitment to the fair energy transition. This can be seen in the only two fair transition projects that have been approved to date in the Iberian Peninsula, Pego in Portugal, and Andorra Interworld. It is a real pleasure for me to once again be able to present the Vice President and Minister TERESA Rivera, and I would like to thank for her presence and her ongoing willingness to dialogue. I am convinced that the Vice President will explain her visions and the government plans with regard to energy for 2023 and the rest of the years. Dear Vice President and Minister, thank you very much for being here. The stage is yours. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you so much. I always have a very good relationship with some difference with Pepe Boga, so instead of saying good morning, I'm going to start by good afternoon. But that's probably the main substantial difference dealing with the approach. The approach is, yes, we have lots of challenge ahead of us. Yes, we have lots of opportunities, and we should be taking advantage of those opportunities and not missing the very important chances that our economy, our country has in this field of the energy transformation. So I would like to start saying that I feel quite thankful for the invitation to join you once again. I think that this is a great opportunity to reflect on the current state and future trends of our society and our economy, and to realize to what extent we have so much to do, but as I say, so many good assets to be used to build around these opportunities. It is probably the most important thing is how much everything has changed since we met last year. Putin's war has not only delayed the recovery from the global pandemic, but it has also added an energy crisis to the pre-existing environmental and climate crisis, to the idea that we needed to transform our understanding of prosperity, welfare, and the way we understand cooperation all over the world, to build a much more healthier globalization, a much more balanced interdependence between the different economies, the different societies, the different partners all around the world. What it is more is that we have seen to what extent we were exposed to critical vulnerabilities in the energy field, in the energy model, in a very unprecedented manner, and how much we should be speeding up the transformation of the energy model. Vulnerabilities that pose an existential threat to our climate objectives, to the households' comforts, expectations, and of course, to our industrial and business ecosystems. But these are sound additional reasons why we need to accelerate the green transition, which also needs to be fair and tied to the social equity. It is a green transition that requires an adequate regulation framework updated to the current state of the art, to the current expectations of the society. It deserves consistent public policies. It deserves the engagement of all the social players. We need to provide a credible basis and adequate goals, as well as sound pathways to attract investment and innovation. This has been understood in different manners by different players all around the world. Probably one of the most visible responses has been the recent response given by the United States with the Inflation Reduction Act that intends to place the United States as the major player in clean technologies. They have made a decisive bet to become a world leader in climate technologies, in energy, clean energy solutions. China is doing its own bets on this field, and the European Union has speeded up the adoption of the Fit for 55 package and is working to provide the proper moves in the green transition partnerships. It is a green transition that it's also perceived as an opportunity to foster a new era of technological and industrial development, of innovation, welfare, employment, and everybody seems to be convinced that this can lead us to a much more prosperous future, but not without an effort. Of course, we need to reorganize many things in our societies, in the signals we send, in the frameworks that provide these solutions. This is indeed the main appeal for new investment push that we witness is happening all over the world. A fascinating challenge where Spain is very well positioned. It is the result of the competitive advantages being built along the years. It is also thanks to a counting on a clear strategy on this transition, defined even before that the health and energy crisis of the past years were present among us. It is a strategy in which we continue progressing and that today adds up to the following factors. First, Spain counts on an energy system well-rooted in renewable energy solutions and provides ideal conditions for the development of new energy vectors with industrial skills, social skills, labour skills, conditions that also match the important geographical and physical situation that provide a good ground for these solutions being built. Our significant energy sector related to the industrial value chain, as well as a top-notch technological and human capital, would allow us to lead a new industrial development. And as I said, we should not be missing this opportunity. Our regulatory framework and dedicated roadmaps designed to bolster new energy and industry-related sectors under the principle of strategic autonomy and a much more healthier global understanding of the relation with other partners provide an attractive context to leading these new innovation grounds. We also work both in Europe and Spain to provide the energy markets regulation with an adequate update, an adequate design to ensure price stability, predictability on returns, while favouring the development of renewable energy, storage, and new energy drivers and services. Additionally, we have devised significant public incentives to investment, particularly targeting the public-private collaboration in new strategic projects under our recovery plan. And lastly, our public and private sectors have proved their ability to push this agenda forward and overcome the different challenges that we have experiencing during these last months. We are already leaders in energy transition, and we must take advantage of this potential. Our energy mix, together with our ideal physical conditions, places Spain in a unique position to develop new energy vectors. Similarly, it is not a surprise that Spain is among the countries with the greatest potential in green hydrogen production, both for self-consumption, decarbonizing many industrial processes, and to export to the rest of Europe. According to RIVERA, in Spain, green hydrogen could become cheaper than blue hydrogen already by 2026. Moreover, our leadership in the energy transition has also made flourish a strong energy-related industry covering the entire value chain, both in PV and wind power, and now on these new vectors such as hydrogen. It represents relevant synergies with other industries and strategic sectors. For example, the wind power industrial value chain has been very important and has developed synergies with our shipbuilding industry, the maritime port sector, or the Spanish civil engineering capacities, key to develop and deploy offshore wind technologies. It has been backed by our first-class technological and human capital. More broadly, Spain has state-of-the-art technology and research and development centres in the main drivers in renewable energy solutions. As regards the human capital, the figures are astonishing and still growing up. To be added to the development on circular economy and sustainable management of raw materials, all these factors give Spain a leading position in this new industrial development base in the digital transformation and the green transition of our economy. Our green transition is firmly rooted in a well-defined strategy and regulation. You know most of it. A climate change and energy transition law, the integrated national plan of energy and climate that should be updated in 2023 to match the new goals for 2030, strategy that significantly relies upon drastically reducing our dependence on foreign fossil fuels. This should, however, avoid acquiring new dependencies, neither on technology nor in raw materials needed for the green and digital transitions. For this purpose, we also count with outstanding strategies in key areas: the roadmap for sustainable management of mineral raw materials that aims at improving our strategic autonomy on critical materials along the lines that the European Union Raw Materials Act is being discussed. On the circular economy Spanish strategy, which establishes the basis to promote a new production and consumption model for a more efficient use of resources, but also in the understanding that we need to seek to invest and develop next-generation solutions. For example, our roadmap in the development of offshore wind aims at establishing Spain as a European reference in these technologies and to consolidate the sector's value chain. In fact, we are working to ensure the imminent adoption of the maritime spatial planning that would provide a predictable framework for the deployment of offshore renewable energy in Spain. The deployment of renewable energy solutions, both traditional and new, will require innovation solutions and services to provide the necessary flexibility and stability to the system. So, still, the transmission grids, the digitalization, and the storage will become new opportunities for services, for technologies, and for the production of the equipments. For them solutions to arise, we have implemented regulatory sandboxes to facilitate the development of new business models in key areas such as electric infrastructure, smart grids, or storage. On energy storage, we count on a strategy that identifies the challenges for such deployment, defines the measures, many of them already on track. On renewable hydrogen, we know that it could be key to complete the decarbonization of our economy. We need to invest much more. We have become a very attractive pole for investment in this field, but we need to test every single element on the hydrogen economy. Our hydrogen roadmap foresees the mobilization of 8.9 billion of public and private investment by 2030 for the production of hydrogen, its associated value chain, the final uses of hydrogen, and according to the very recent developments, the understanding of the mapping of the backbone of this needs to be transported. The recent agreement over the XIII Med shows that Spain is doubling down on its bet for becoming a world benchmark in hydrogen. The data show to what extent this can be a very fruitful solution in the time to come. The expectations in a net zero economy by 2050 show that a big share of all the flows, commercial flows, dealing with energy-related goods could be intrinsically linked to the deployment of hydrogen. We also work to improve the EU regulatory framework with proposals to both foster the energy transition and ensure the stability of energy prices, paying attention to the interests of the consumers. We could not count on the industrial development if the energy is a very high price of its, we could not count on the industrial development if energy shows such a high price. But we also need to pay attention to the comfort of the families and the society if we want the society to support this transformation. Since the beginning of Putin's war, the European Union has been working in a coordinated fashion to alleviate the consequence of the energy crisis. And we are at the verge of a new debate on how to make the European electricity market regulation evolve so that it allows transferring the low and stable prices of renewable energy solutions to households and industries, while fostering the electrification of our economy and providing predictability and returns to the investors. The European Union Next Generation has made available an unprecedented level of resources to transform our economy, from which, through our Plan de Recuperación, we devoted an initial huge amount to reform and investments to boost the green transition. Spain has demonstrated the ability to push forward the green agenda while dealing with the current context. Indeed, Spain's recovery plan has reached cruising speed. Spain was the first country to receive the first 2 payments from the European Union. Regarding compliance with the recovery plan milestones, Spain hits the ranking of reforms undertaken, 47% of the total amount. It counts on consistent strategies and frameworks. It counts on clear and defined goals. It counts on a great interest coming from the different stakeholders. It counts on a good performance in its expectation and execution. Moreover, 87% of the amount programmed in the ministry dealing with energy has already been executed. More importantly, we have also demonstrated an understanding capacity to weather the current energy crisis. diversified portfolio of suppliers, good relations, good industry solutions, and the increasing deployment of renewable energy solutions puts us in a better position than others in other European countries to face possible Russian gas supply disruptions. But let me be clear. The most important message dealing with Europe, dealing with this energy crisis, is that this is a great opportunity to build more Europe, to foster how clean technology solutions can create additional competitive solutions and competitive positions for European industries and European workers, to develop new solutions, to update the regulation, and to provide an industrial reflourishment that we all need. We have adopted a battery of measures to alleviate some of its most damaging effects during the last year, notably the spike in inflation stemming from rising energy prices. This has contributed to Spain being the country with the lowest inflation rate in the euro area. But this is not enough. We need to keep on working. We need to ensure not only the temporary solutions, but also the structural reforms. Beyond inflation, our way of conducting the economy in this difficult year has also obtained international recognition, the fourth among the 34 OECD countries in terms of overall economic performance in 2022. Considering the above, it is not coincidence that Spain's increasing attractiveness regarding renewable energy investment is already a fact. This is, of course, something that has not become unnoticed for investors. Spain is the EU country that most renewable energy investment has concentrated in the period 2018-2029. Spain ranks high in the global renewable energy greenfield investment rankings. According to Invest in Spain, Spain has become the second country in the world in terms of foreign greenfield investment received, with more than 170 projects. In addition, 66 foreign companies undertook greenfield investment projects during the same period. If they focus on green hydrogen alone, we can see that 20% of all projects under development worldwide in green hydrogen are located in Spain, the second country only after the United States. Spain has been allocated with 20% of the hydrogen projects that will be receiving funding under the European projects called Important Projects of Common European Interest. The public sector alone cannot cope with the massive mobilization of funds needed for this transformation, with the human capital that all this requires. It is important to count on responsible and patient private investors that go beyond the short-term maximization of profits and integrate the green dimension in their decision-making process. This requires the public sector providing the appropriate signals, providing the appropriate frameworks, revisiting the incentive schemes, the ESG criteria and investment, introducing transparency requirements for their portfolios. But in any case, the public sector may drive the direction towards this transformation, but never can be done without private investment, without private capital, without private citizens, private workers being skilled enough to do this, to respond to this challenge. So it is time for you to pick the gauntlet. Thank you so much. And of course, we will have the opportunity to keep this discussion open in the time to come. Thank you.